And we welcome you back to the 2024 Sooner Athletic Conference Virtual Football Media Day. I'm Jim Powers, Assistant Commissioner of the SAC. And we're going to talk to one of our tri-champions from last year, but this team got the automatic bid into the NAI tournament, going down to Pineville, Louisiana, and Louisiana Christian, and their new head coach, Ben McLaughlin. And Ben, first off, welcome to the SAC. And how's the transition been for you, taking a program that made it to the postseason last year and kind of starting to put your fingerprints on what this team is going to look like here in 2024?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Jim. Thank you for everything you do for the conference and for the teams. And so, if people are not familiar with our program and the history of it, I'm an alum of there. I played there for 4 years. I was an offensive coordinator there previously for 4 years. I've been a GA there, so I wasn't with them as a part of the coaching staff last year, these last few years under Coach Maddox, but as an alum, I was with them along the way. I mean, I was on the sidelines at every home game and was watching and rooting them on and talking with Coach Maddox on a weekly basis. Head coaches, there's not a lot of friends sometimes, and so we've always been good friends. And so he would call me sometimes just when he get frustrated, and I would call him sometimes when I would get frustrated. So I felt, a part of that run that they had last year and as an alum. And so very familiar with the program, but obviously and very thankful and privileged to be able to come back now as a head coach and to continue on Coach Maddox, has built and established. And so I know he's going to be my biggest fan, our biggest fan moving forward as well.
Schedule for you guys, it's not going to be an easy start. You're going to head down to Miami Gardens to take on a really, really good St. Thomas team, and then, another non-con game, and then you jump into the league. Talk a little bit about the schedule and how you guys are going to try and maneuver a little bit through it, especially starting right out of the gate with one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, even at the head coaches meeting we had a few months ago, we were talking about it. Getting those quality non-conference games matters when it comes to playoffs. I mean, it really does. And so when Coach Maddox chose to schedule St. Thomas, it was that in mind. It was, obviously you schedule every game to go and win, but sometimes a what they call them, a quality loss is better than a win against a local opponent that may be D3 or another or whatever like that. And so there's some method to the madness that Coach Maddox did when he put this schedule together. Obviously, playing Houston Christian week 2 is a Division I opponent, and that helps us in our budget. They pay us a little bit of money, and so everything that he did there is for a reason, and it's going to help us out, whether it's playoffs or financially. And so, but at the end of the day, those are games you got to strap up and go play. And so I do feel like we're that St. Thomas, that's going to be 2 top 20 teams going at it. It should be really exciting week 1 for the NAI, the nation, to kind of keep an eye on that game. And so it'll be good. We're excited about it, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge, but we're going to be ready for conference play week 3. That's for sure.
Talk a little bit about the transition, but also you've got an outstanding core group of guys that are coming back, played on this team last year that went 9-1. Talk a little bit about how you've been able to meet with them, kind of start your expectations and let them take the baton, so to say, in the locker room, out on the practice field. This core leadership group is going to be key for you guys this year.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was going through the returning starters, and that becomes a weird thing. I mean, we've got I counted 6 on each side of the ball that we would consider for sure a starter that are coming back. And anytime you got over half your offense and defense coming back, you feel good about that. Now, when you're replacing on offense a quarterback and running back that scored a majority of the touchdowns, you've got some question marks we got to get answered. And on defense, we lost a cover corner and a couple of our D tackles, which anything about defense and football, the interior D line is one of the hardest positions to recruit and to find. And so we definitely have some challenges there, but we've got some guys that were backups that are ready to hungry for those spots. And so it definitely is nice when you come in and you've got a core group of 20 plus seniors that have been here. They were here when Coach Maddox first got here, and we started off 0-5, and they got a lot of playing time as freshmen because we were not, the team wasn't very deep. And so they built, most of these guys are 3- and 4-year starters or at least contributors. And so definitely nice to walk in. You've got a locker room that has been established. You've got leadership, and the standard has been set. And all I got to do is come in and add my flavor to it. like I said, not a lot of jobs come open and you get to take where you're coming off of a playoff bid in a conference championship. So I'm very fortunate in the coaching staff, and everything's been they've been real awesome in the transition.
Last year you had one of the top quarterbacks, not only in the conference, but in the country. That's a big hole to fill. How did that battle start to shape up in spring? And I know that's going to be the big battle that I think a lot of people around the country are going to be looking at here once you all start practice.
It's a unique. So I coached Sal his true freshman year in 2019. We recruited him. I mean, it was a hard fought battle with a lot of schools around that wanted him, and so we recruited him, and he played and started 5 or 6 games for us his true freshman year. And so I've got a really good connection with him, and definitely sad to see him go, but very proud of him and the man, the player he became, and the ambassador he's been for this college. And so, but right now our depth chart's pretty. It's pretty standard. River Thompson has been his backup for 3 years. I mean, you think about that in today's college football. I mean, I'm so proud of him and the persistence that he had to stay and be a backup for 3 years. And so he's a grown man. He's a 22-year-old grown man that is but yet has not been a starter at college football yet. So there's some unknown there. But if you're telling me we're going to turn it over to somebody, I'd rather have someone that is an experience with college football and understanding how it is him. And so there's some younger guys that are going to be pushing him for sure, but he's got a clear edge right now and is the leader of our team and of our offense. So I'm looking forward to what River's going to do and the steps that he's going to take and grow.
Got some great kids coming back out on the edges, but I think where the strength of your offense may lie, Coach, is going to be the offensive line. Last year that O-line was absolutely terrific all year long, and you've got some veteran guys that are going to be coming back to kind of help River make sure he stays clean in the pocket and able to do some things.
Yeah, we've got 3 offensive linemen that are 4 of them are returners, and they had a rash of injuries last year. So we've got 2 or 3 more that they had projected to be players early on and then didn't get to play. And so, I mean, we're very deep, and unfortunately they're older, but unfortunately it means that in a year from now we're going to have to find some big holes, literally and figuratively, big holes to fill up there. But our offensive line group and our running back group is our core. Though we've got 2 of our. I know we lost Briscoe, but Tavion Cunningham and Daylon Charles both really had a lot of good carries and a lot of they contributed a whole lot last year for us. And so those guys coming back with that offensive line group, at the end of the day, running the football is one of the biggest keys to success in this game. And so knowing that you've got those guys coming back with experience really lets me sleep a little bit better at night.
Defensively, like you mentioned, you lost one of your corners. But I tell you what, though, the back end of your defense is probably one of the best in the conference. Talk a little bit about that, and then we'll work back down to that linebacking crew that you got back and also the D-line.
Yeah, I mean, we had a young man that was All-American. Pop McGee was a corner, and we talk about it a lot, in this transfer portal age. I mean, it's – coaches at our level can either embrace it or can bury their head in the sand. And so we kind of embrace it. And he put an All-American season, and Grambling came and wanted him, and he went up there. But fortunately for us, at the end of the spring, we stayed in great contact because there was no ill will. If anybody gets coaches, if anybody gets an opportunity to move up, we're going to be behind somebody better than themselves. But he called us and said that just wasn't the same. And so he came back. So we've got him to have an All-American corner come back and to be a part was a huge, I say get for us, but yeah, it's a huge get for us to get him back this summer. And so he's going to be there. And he's obviously the kind of the star of that back end right now with the returning with the returningness that he does. But I think we had about 5 or 6 guys that played in the back end with a lot of playing time that are going to be there with us. And then, coming down from linebacker, Kayvon Toriak was a returning starter for us. And crazy enough, the other inside linebacker, his name's Ardell Reed. And And Coach Maddox said he was probably one of the best linebackers on our team last year, but he ended up being just a couple of points short from eligibility. And so he's worked really hard academically and got back. And so we feel like our linebacking crew, even though we lost Bubba Reed, a great linebacker last year, we feel like we've progressed. Kaven's a year older, and we get Ardell back, who's super athletic. And so we feel really good with kind of our back seven right now with our safeties, our corners, and our linebackers.
And obviously, a lot of defenses these days, it's all built up front. You've got some dudes there that can flat out play for you guys.
Oh yeah, no. Logan Brimmer obviously is the key up front, and so for a few years he's been a great player for us, and he's really what I've enjoyed about, because when you for me as an alum on the sideline, I see these guys, I see their number and their helmet, but I don't know their faces yet. You don't know the kind of people they are. What I've really enjoyed with Logan is that he truly is stepping into a leadership role. He's a very articulate. He does a great job of bringing energy to practice, but then also mentoring and helping young guys. And so when you're some of your best people or your best players, you've got a chance to have a good football team. And so I'm excited what he's going to do. He's hungry to have another repeat performance from what he did last year. And so we've got a couple other guys. Jordan Oglesby's going to be kind of the other defensive end on the other side, and we do have, like I said, some young guys that got in the rotation inside last year. But they're, anytime that someone keeps pointing out of your weaknesses, there's a chip on those guys' interior shoulders. They want to prove that, yeah, we lost some good players, but they're good too. And so it's there's definitely a chip on a few of those guys' shoulders that are coming in, replacing some of those big guys we lost.
Coach, you've been around a little bit, and I say this, and following NAI as much as I have, the Sooner Athletic Conference is one of the best football conferences in America. When you look at three teams last year tying for the conference championship, you guys making the postseason, one of 12 teams. I mean, I think the Sooner around the country is starting to rise to where a lot of people think the Sooner should be.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt. I mean, Texas football is known as some of the best football, high school and on up. I mean, you look at what the facilities that Texas Wesleyan's putting together. I was on Sagu's or Nelson Nell's campus and saw what they do, and then you've got Langston, who obviously has a big history. Hopefully we bring, with Louisiana football is, per capita, some of the most people come out of Louisiana high school football that end up making it to the NFL. And so the talent pool around where we are in Texas and Louisiana, and obviously you've got Oklahoma and then Ottawa, who does a really good job over there on the West Coast. It brings their flavor as well. It definitely is. I'm really excited for us, and then to continue that on and to really build some of this, build some of the notoriety and the reputation that we have. And so hopefully we can all keep growing and growing our conference, because at the end of the day, perception is reality. And so when it comes to wild card bids, a lot of that's subjective. And so we want to make sure that we raise our reputation level, so that when it does come down between us and another team from another conference, that we get some of those bids from some of that subjectiveness. So it's I'm glad we're a part of this thing, and we're looking forward to a lot of years of some success in this conference.
Talk a little bit too, Coach. Obviously, the community, you saw it last year. You're an alum. Just how excited is the community and the alumni base, not only to have one of their alum coming back to coach, but also coming off the heels of last year. It's just got to be electric for you guys to get ready for this season.
It is. I'm a unique character in that place, like I said, because I literally, I told parents in recruiting, I've seen every corner of that campus, because I lived in those freshman dorms. I've lived in the freshman dorms. I've lived off campus, and I was in the smallest office in the coach's room, and now I'm at the biggest one at the end. And so I've literally seen that thing. But the great thing is my first year there was in 2006. And so I've got a connection. When they started the program in 2000, I've got a connection to the oldest of that crop right there. And so I really feel like the alum have really poured out. They feel like one of their own is here, because Coach Maddox obviously is alum, but he got here in 2013-14. So it can seem, a guy that graduated in 2004 that may not have been around in a while, sometimes it can be hard to make those connections. So I feel like I'm old enough to bring those original ones back. But then again, I've coached there in 2019 was my last year there. So I also have a lot of the newness as well. So it's a unique mix there that I'm hopefully can tie the old with the new in. And then obviously anytime you have success in winning, it it raises everything. And so it's very fortunate. We're fortunate. Our community is excited. It's a lot of fun. And so now we've got to really get to work and prove it out there on the field again in year two. It's hey, getting to the top is definitely difficult, but staying at the top is sustaining success in this profession is one of the hardest things in the world. And so it's we're looking forward to the challenge though.
No doubt about it. Well, Ben, I appreciate the time. I know it's getting ready to get to go time and all that stuff, but excited to see what the Wildcats are going to do this year, and looking forward to talking to you throughout the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. The head coach of Louisiana Christian, Ben McLaughlin, joins us. And when we come back, we'll continue to preview with some of our great coaches here in the Sooner Athletic Conference. It's a 2024 Sooner Football Media Virtual Wise Media Day right here on YouTube.